Quick disclaimer, this video isn't about COD Mobile itself, but just the specific version of the game and the information surrounding it. What if I told you there was a pretty hefty demand for a dedicated PC version of Call of Duty Mobile, or for the game to be playable on PC? Well, you'd be correct if you believed me, because it's true. Despite Activision, or I guess Tencent, blocking the game from being emulated on BlueStacks, which is an Android emulator, there is a dedicated PC version of the game tailored towards Chinese markets, and is what I want to take a look at today. It had my interest for a while, as I myself have actually wanted to try COD Mobile on PC, so I suppose my wish has been fulfilled. Now, this version is pretty exclusive to China. You can download it on any computer in the US, but it only supports Chinese as a language. Now, why does this version exist? Well, I'm going to get a little sidetracked, but bear with me for a sec, it's worth it. In 2009, after Modern Warfare 2 released, Activision wanted a big budget Call of Duty game in China, but they couldn't do that because of China's cost and distribution laws. So they partnered with Tencent, which, if you don't know, is a big Chinese gaming publisher. They know all the ways around the laws and the distribution issues. Tencent is a huge company who also worked on PUBG Mobile and COD Mobile, but we'll get to that in a sec. Together, the two companies made Call of Duty Online, which was a free-to-play Chinese Call of Duty game released in 2015. It only supported Chinese as a language and was tailored towards that market specifically. It's similar to Counter-Strike Nexon or any other Chinese-specific version of a big Western IP, which are basically free-to-play versions of games with a good amount of microtransactions and cosmetics. They exist due to the initial brand perhaps not sitting well with the Chinese government, but the publishers still wanting their game in China. Like a lot of these Chinese versions, COD Online didn't have a yearly release. It was just one release that was going to be supported for as long as possible, like Fortnite or any other live service game. A portion of its content was just reused and recycled assets from other COD games, such as Advanced Warfare and the Modern Warfare series. But there were, of course, brand new weapons and maps as well, and even a single-player campaign. Also, this thing had Battle Royale before Warzone or Blackout. It was the full Chinese COD package. Fast forward to August 13th, 2021, and the COD Online servers are shut down. There's a blog post about it, but it really doesn't say why the servers were disappearing, it just says that they are. Apparently, it was due to licensing issues and declining interest, probably since it was working with more outdated hardware. I don't know the specifics, but the bottom line is that it's gone. According to Reddit, there was a way to link the online accounts to COD Mobile, which had been out for quite some time at this point. This kind of brings us to where we are now because there was a gap in the market. I don't know for sure, but I doubt China's distribution laws and costs changed that much since 2009. So it seems Activision was going to have some trouble getting Call of Duty from American consoles and PCs to Chinese computers. So along came Tencent once again, who had already made and was supporting COD Mobile. Instead of making a brand new COD Online from scratch, they figured it was probably best just to take the already existing phone game and put it on PC with some mouse and keyboard support. Which I suppose makes sense. The infrastructure was already there, and so was the appeal. COD Mobile is basically a sequel to Online if you think about it. It has the same elements of taking maps and guns from several other COD games and blending them all together. So this PC version was born. Now, how do you even download this thing? Well, for starters, there's a standalone version and I believe a game loop version. However, I don't know what game loop is, and I heard the standalone version was better anyways, so I'll be sticking to that. This version has its own website, and I'll have a link in the description to a video tutorial on how to download it. The installer is a little unusual, but it's pretty easy to follow along with. At first, I thought it was only able to install into my C drive, but as it turns out, the page where you choose which drive you want just hadn't loaded in yet. Now, unlike regular Call of Duty Mobile, this version only allows WeChat and QQ accounts. There's no option for Gmail, nor is there a guest option or anything like that. So finally, I was into the game. Now, to restate, it only supports Chinese for languages. I don't think there's an English option. This means that unless you're familiar with Chinese or speak it, you'll need a translator app. But once you get past all that, this version is pretty much just Call of Duty Mobile with a mouse and keyboard. Yeah, there was a decent amount of build up to this moment, but that's really all this game is. It fills in the role of COD Online well enough and actually has made the transition from phones to a mouse and keyboard pretty well. I decided to go undercover when trying this and blend in with the player base by naming myself John American, and hey, it seems I'm not that bad at the game either. This version though is exactly as you remember it on your phone, just on a computer screen with perhaps a better frame rate. As far as I can tell, it has all the same game modes, guns, and maps from phone COD Mobile, as well as Battle Royale and Zombies. If you had a problem with COD Mobile beyond the controls, this PC version isn't going to do anything to fix that. It still has a slow time to kill, the more floaty movement, and all the Tencent little quirks and features that exist for better and for worse, such as all the microtransactions and cosmetics. I find playing it on PC is more enjoyable, but that's only because I don't hate regular phone COD Mobile. Don't go tracking down this port thinking it's going to make everything better. It won't. But if you do like COD Mobile and want to try it with a mouse and keyboard, I think this is the best way to do so. Like I said, I tried BlueStacks before, but the game kicked me out. There might be other emulators out there that work, but I don't know. Also, if you're already familiar with the game in English or whatever native language you speak, the Chinese barrier isn't that big of an issue since the UI is all the same, so it's just muscle memory more or less. As for the graphics, I actually don't know if they are enhanced at all over the base phone game. They could be, but I don't really have a concrete answer. Also, the game does allow for some pretty high frame rates, such as 240 FPS, while I'm pretty sure the regular phone version allows a maximum of 120. The biggest difference from the phone version was instead of fighting zombies, you fight robots. This was of course due to Chinese censorship reasons. I believe COD Online did the same thing and even had high-tech versions of all the regular Call of Duty Zombies maps. Speaking of Zombies maps, like COD Mobile, this version only has Shino-Nuba as its one map. Kind of a bummer with the robots, but thankfully they function the exact same, so it's not too bad. Again, if you didn't like regular mobile zombies, you won't like it here either. Aside from the robots, there also might be bits of censorship here and there that I didn't pick up on. I did notice that the game had a Chinese-looking version of Gaz from the original Modern Warfare. If this was in the mobile version, I don't remember it. Now, I'm sure this version of the game is running purely on Chinese servers, and it does result in some bugs. For instance, when a round starts, sometimes the guns just take a lot of time to load in after the round has already began, and when you can be shot at. To be fair, I never died from this, but that's also because I would stay in the spawn area when it would happen. Still a really bad bug nonetheless. There's thankfully not any netcode issues, and aside from the guns taking time to load in, there wasn't much lag. But then again, I have some pretty good internet. But considering COD Online lagged for a lot of people outside of China, some of which I'm sure had great internet, this is a big improvement. But to restate, it's the same game as it was on the phone, but with a mouse and keyboard on your computer. Aside from the zombies, nothing else has changed, so if you didn't like it then, you won't like it now. Now, when I tried to type in the global chat, which was all in Chinese, this happened.
Because your credit score is less than 350, you have engaged in bad gaming behavior, you're unable to post.
And before you ask, no, I didn't say anything about Tiananmen Square as I really didn't feel like getting banned. Now, the question of how external this is from phone COD Mobile remains to be seen. It says here that I'm using an external device, so I'm playing with external device players. This either means I'm playing against people on phones who are either using gamepads or mouse and keyboards, or it's just a way of saying, hey, you're playing with everyone else on PC. I'm going to assume it's the PC part, seeing as everyone playing has a Chinese name, but there's really no concrete evidence for that. Though what I do know is I'm not playing with people purely using touchscreens. Whether they're on PC or phones, they're either using gamepads or mouses and keyboards. So will this come to the rest of the world? And by coming to the rest of the world, I mean supporting other languages and other sign-in options like English and Gmail. The answer is, I doubt it. In countries like America, there really isn't a need for this kind of game, and that's because we already have access to the mainline Call of Duty titles, which is what COD Mobile was meant to emulate just on phones, with the added bonus of a wide range to other countries. I think both Activision and Tencent would probably view a Western shift for this version kind of redundant. Not to mention the last thing they want is to take away from actual Call of Duty on PC or even consoles. I have a feeling for a good amount of time this is going to be a Chinese exclusive. Even if there was a good amount of demand, Activision would want the US focusing on the mainline stuff anyways, just because someone has to. Again, it exists to try and fill in the gap that COD Online left behind, which of course was never going to be a US focused game. It was all pretty much meant for China, just like COD Mobile on PC. So that kind of completes this dive into this PC version of Call of Duty Mobile. I think it was worth talking about because you really wouldn't hear about this unless you live in China or if you're actively seeking it out. A port like this could easily get swept under the rug by all the other Call of Duty news in history. So I think it's cool to find something obscure like this. I do think COD Online was better, but that's because I personally like that style of Call of Duty a lot more compared to this one. Now, believe it or not, I actually enjoyed Black Ops 4 on PC a ton at launch. Unfortunately, it's pretty dead now, which sucks because yeah, I was a big fan. Not because of the blackout, but because I just liked the game a lot. This game kind of fills in that role. It's got that slow time to kill plus Black Ops 4 weapons. And even if it doesn't feel quite the same, I still found it similarly enjoyable, if that makes sense. My brother found the idea of an exclusive Call of Duty pretty funny, and he actually ended up taking some videos of it on his phone to show his girlfriend.
Oh, look at that! Were you feeling that? Yes.
One last thing. The desktop icon has this whack-ass title. I put it through ChatGPT and it told me it was Chinese text encoded in what's called Moji Bake, and when decoded, the full name was Call of Duty Mobile Emulator HD version. And that's pretty cool.